Hi everyone, this is your Suraj Kumar. You are watching the channel TSK Tutorials. In this video, we are going to discuss about C programming. All of you are a warm welcome to C programming. In the before session, we have discussed about what's a program, why programming language is necessary, history of C language, what is syntax error, variables, constants, and operations in C language. In this session, we are going to cover about data types, keywords, identifiers, and the loops in C program. Now let's get into our session. First, our topic is data types. What are data types in C programming? A data type specifies the type of data that a variable can store, such as integer, float, char, etc. In the before session, I have told what the variable is, and while writing the program, we have to give the type, means whether the given data is character or int or float. In our program, we have seen many examples about the data types and the introduction of data type before giving a value in a variable. So the data type is divided into three types: the primitive data type, derived data type, and the user defined data type. Again, the data types are divided into three types as we have seen earlier. Now let's get about them in detail. Primitive data type. What's a primitive data type? The primitive data type in C is used to store only single value. There are different type of data types in and we have to store only one value. We go for certain type, that's a primitive data type, and we have to store more than one value. We go for different types that are derived data types and user defined data types and many other. Now let's see how the primitive data types are further classified. First one is int. We have already discussed about int in the before session. That means to store the integer values in our variable, we use the word int. Okay, what it stores? Int is used to store whole numbers without decimals. As the name indicates, integer means the set of whole numbers. The positive, it means positive natural numbers, and zero, as well as in integers we can store negative natural numbers. Hence, the integer stores only whole numbers without decimals. The size of the int is 2 bytes. Means integer is used to define data type for a certain variable. Means variable stores some value. It means that it needs some memory. That memory is 2 bytes. The size of the data type is 2 bytes. Let's get into our next classification under the primitive data type, that is float. What is float? We have discussed about integers, means only natural numbers and negative natural numbers and 0, but we have to store some decimal values like 49.98. We cannot store it in the integer. Next, we have to store it in the float. It stores functional numbers containing one or more numbers in decimal part. This is what I have explained. To store just in numbers, we can go for integers. To store for decimal numbers, we go for float. And the size of this data type is 8 bytes. This is also similar to the of int. It also indicates the value stored in a particular variable. It needs some memory, that's 8 bytes. We need 8 bytes of memory to store a float value. Now the other classification under this primitive data type is character. We simply use the word character. We have also seen the examples based on float and character. For those examples, please refer my part 1 video. Now, I have told in the part 1 that the character is a single letter or an alphabet. It is given in the single quotes, and the size of that character is 8 bytes. This is also used to store the data. This is also used to refer the data, the type of data that is stored in a variable, and it also needs some memory, that is 8 bytes. This is how our first classification of data types is completed. The second classification is derived data types. I am not giving the examples of these as there is examples in part 1. For the examples of the derived data types I will giving in the upcoming slides. Now we can have a look at them. First of all, we have to discuss what the derived data type is. The derived data types are derived out of the fundamental. As the name indicates, we are going to derive some type of data types from the primitive data types and the fundamental data types. That's why the name is given as the derived data types. They are also primary data types that are grouped together. When we group some kinds of values, we need, for example, we have to store different types of data. We will go for derived data types, which is similarly known as the grouped of primary data types. The first one under the derived data types is array. Array is way to take multiple value by using single identifier. Means I'm going to explain what's an identifier is in the upcoming slide in this session. Let's go to the define of an array. Array is way to take multiple values, means we are going to store multiple values. We have to pick one of the value from the given values, then we use array. Array holds multiple values of same category. Let's see an example. First I am storing that the first value is 10, second value is 20, third value is 30, and the fourth value is 40. Means there are 4 memory addresses in which we can store values. For storing one value, the one memory address will be required. When we have to store 4 values, 4 different memory locations will be required, but we have to access them easily. Then we can use the concept of array. Now let's see the syntax of an array. Hash include stdio.h, it is called as the header file. Void main is called as the main part. Already we have discussed about these in the introduction session. And open braces, here I have given the type of data that we are going to store is int. To write the array, we have to store, I am going to store some values, and so I have given its name as the variable as values. How many values I am going to store? It has 4. Have told that the data, the number of items we have to store is to be given in the square brackets, and I am going to store this as 10, 20, 30, 40. Now I have to print. What I have to print? I have to print the integers, because I have stored only integers. I want to print integers. What does the /n indicates? It indicates that after printing this integer, for the next printing you have to go for the new line. Now what I have to print? Value 0. Let me tell you what this value 0 indicates. While we have stored 4 values, it will take this first value as value 0, second value as value 1, value 2, and the value 3 respectively. Hence I have to print the 10. I have to give the command as value 0. I have closing the brackets and the semicolon. Similarly, to print 20, I have to give as the value 1. And to print 30, I have to give it as the value 2, and to print 40, I have to give it as value 3. How many you need, we can store that many values, and we can access in our required value. If I need only value 1, I will only print this line and I will ignore all these lines. It's depend upon your requirement. Now the closing file is get.ch and the closing braces. Now let me check this code is running or not. Now I am going to open a program in the C language to check our verified code. This is my old program. I am going to delete this. I am going to building it. Let me check whether this code is correct or not by building the program. Yes, there is no error in the program. If there is any error, we can see it here. Now I am going to run the program. We have got the values as 10, 20, 30 and 40. Now I am not giving this first line, and let's see what's going to happen. Now let me build this program, and output is 20, 30, 40. What's our required output? Do we give the input based upon the desired output? That's the matter in this program. Now I have stored 4. By mistake, let me give it as 4. Let me check what's the output will be come out. No output, so it has taken the output that's on its wish. When there is no desired or no particular output, it will give some output randomly. That's it. Now I'm going to delete this. That's the syntax of an array. Simply, array is used to print the desired or set of values that are required for us from a set of the input values. Now let's get into the second classification under derived data type, that is functions. What's a function? Function is nothing but a set of statements, set of inputs. That's what we can see here. A function is a set of statements that takes input and some specific computation and product output. Simply, where we have to use functions. We have to use functions when we repeat the same function multiple times. Means when we want to print same thing in multiple times, we no need to write the same command in that number of times. For example, n number of times, simply we can use the word function, or they can use the syntax of this function to repeat the same word or to print the same repeatedly. Now let's see the syntax of this function. This is the header file and is common, but we can get an extra part here. Void hello means we are giving some name. Hello, you can give your name as your wish. Now I have to print my class. I have to print my class for example, x number of times. First I have to give what I have to print here in this curly braces under the word hello, or you can give your name or your friend's name or your wish. Now I want to print my class. After printing one time, I have to go for new line, so I have given /n. Okay, now I am getting the main part. This is the header file. Now to get the output, we need the main file. This is the main file, and what I have to print has to be written here. But without writing all this in the multiple times, I am simply writing hello, because in this command hello, this entire program is built in. All this entire program was set up in this word hello. So I can simply give hello, or you can give simply 2-letter word to get an easy access. I have given the semicolon at the end and the closing file and the closed parenthesis. I have to print the word my class for 2 times. I have given hello for 2 times. We can give it in for n number of times depending upon your wish. Now let me check this code. Now let me build it in. There is no error in our program, and I am going to run the program. After running the program, you can see that I have given the command hello for 2 times and the output is 2 times. Now let me increase. Now I am increasing one time and check whether this is working or not. Simple in this way, or you can copy the word one time and you can paste it as many as times you are required to get the same word in n number of times, and which you can easily access at any time. While we have to, in some cases we have to required to print the same word for 10 times or 20 times, which is difficult for us, or we can, without using this, we can simply give the command as void main and printf my class and copying this, and we can paste it for a number of times. It's general procedure, but it is a special procedure is available for us, which is nothing but the functions. Because of this function we can make our work easy, within a fraction of seconds. We can give the simple words to get our commands easily. Now let me show you the next one is pointer. The next classification under derived data type is pointer. Pointer used to hold the address of the variable that stores the memory address of another variable. Now let me tell this definition in an easy manner. For example, now I was in my room. I am in some address. I was situated at some address. My address is my room. Now my mother knew that I was in my room. Means my address was stored in my mother's brain at some point. Means the address of one variable is stored in the other variable using some memory. That's what the pointer is. And there are two notations that we use to get the output from that addresses, that is the and this into. And means point, and is used to point the address. We have to get the address. If I have to get my address, we have to use the command and. We have to get the value stored in the particular address, we have to use this symbol. And let's see the syntax, how we have to get it. After seeing the syntax, you can get an idea about a pointer easily. Pointer is nothing but used to store the address of something stored in a memory. Means to get one thing easily, easy access from a set, that's memory address is stored in another place. So simply we can access it from that other place. Now let's see the syntax. The syntax is, the starting is the header file hash include stdio.h, void main is the main part, open parenthesis. Now I am going to store the integer. What kind of integer? What's the variable here? X. In the variable x, I am going to store the data type is int. What's its value? 18 semicolon. Now let me explain how this int has occurred here. As I have told you earlier, and is used to get the address of the variable. Star is used to get the value stored here. Now and of x means it's the address of the variable x. Means, as I have told in the previous session, to store something in a variable, first variable has to be declared first, and it will occupy some memory because of the given condition, whether it is int, float or else. Basing upon the given input of the data type, it will occupy different types of memories like 2 bytes and the 8 bytes. Now this memory address is stored in p, and star p is value stored in that memory address. As the value is 18, it's an integer, and this total command becomes an integer, that is int. Okay, let's print the some kinds of variables or some desired outputs here. I want to print the value stored in 8x. It's 18. Simply I can give the command as printf %d / and comma. I have to print the integer, that is x. Simply I have given x. Now I want the memory address of x, where the variable has stored, in which memory its value has stored. Means I have to give and of x, the address. Memory location is nothing but the address. I want to get the address of x, hence I have to give the command as and of x. And I want to get the p. P means the memory location. P stores the memory location. That's what I have told. My mom stores my address. That's it. So p stores the address of x. So I want to print p. So I have to give it the command printf percentage d forward slash n comma p. Okay, semicolon. Now I am here, stored by my mom stored that I was here, but where it has stored in my mom, at a certain memory location in her brain or in her mind. That's what the end of p means. The address of the value stored in p means she has stored it somewhere in her brain. That address is given by end of p. Printf percentage d forward slash n end of p semicolon. Now I have to get the value stored there. It is given by star of p means I was here. That value stored in her brain, in that's given as p, and I want its value star of p. The get ch is the closing file, and the closed curly braces. If I have to only print 18 means the value stored in a particular variable, I can simply give it as x. That's it. I want to I want the output, I want to access where it has stored, where the variable x has stored. It is given by and of x. And where this address has stored means where this data has stored is p. P stores the address and the data of x, that is p, and this data is stored in some memory. For p to remember it, it must be in a certain memory, and that memory is given by and of p, and the value given in p is given by star of p. Now let's check this code and verify it. Now I am going to show you each one. The value x, the stored in variable x is 18. First one is correct, yes or no? Have given the input as 18 and the output is 18. Okay. And of x, memory address, memory location of x, it has stored the variable, the value 18 in this particular memory location. Okay, in this particular memory location it has stored the value. Now p stores the address where I was. P stores the address where the variable is. So it has also have the same memory address C4 64222044. It depends upon the random case. That's but simply both of these are same because and of x is the address of x and p stores address of x to get the axis. So both of these will be same. And of p, that address will be stored again in a particular memory location, like what I have said in my mom's brain. That address is another one. Both of these are different, but both these are same because one is my address, means first one this is and of x, and second one is my address stored in my mom's brain. My address stored by my mom. My mom also will store that I was in my room. So both of these are same, but that data will store in her mind at a certain location, that is given by the another location, that is given by and of p. Now I have to get the value stored in p. Finally p stores about all the details of x. So what will be the value stored in p? It's nothing but the value stored in x, that's 18. That's our output. By practicing this, you can understand about all these kinds, about the pointer. There will be no issues. On practice, you can understand it in a very clear-cut manner. Now let's discuss about user-defined data types. These are the third classification under data types. What is user-defined data types? They are specially defined by the users, by our convenience, and it is called as user-defined data types. Well, you can see the definition here. User-defined data types are defined by the user themselves are referred to as user defined data types, and they depend upon their needs and necessaries derived from existing data types. They are also comes under separate kinds, or they are also derived from existing some kinds of data types, and you can derive it from your requirement based on your requirement. Some basic kinds are the some major examples of this user defined data types are structure, union, and enum. Now let's discuss about these in a detail. What a structure is? In user-defined data types, it is possible to combine data items of various types in a single structure. Means, for a, I have to store many kinds about a single thing at a particular place. I have to use the format of the structure to store different details of a single thing at at a simple. I mean, at a single place. We can use this structure. That definition is not necessary as much. Now let's get this syntax. Now in this example, I want to store my employee details, all his name, age, salary, and his ID at one place. So I have given, or I have using the syntax or the data type struct to store the different values of a single thing at one place. We can use the format of struct, and we can access them whenever or whatever is necessary. I have given the header file, and this is a struct. I have instructed it, or I have given the command as struct employee, because I am going to store the employee details. I have given it as struct employee. The things that are have been storing here given in the flower braces. The name I have going to store the name of my employee. It name which must be a character or a string, which can be given as the character command. The predefined words have to be used must. Character is given here, and as I have told, to store the character we must give some memory. Some bytes of memory must be allocated to it. I have told about this memory in this previous session. In the previous session, part 1, introduction to C program, and I have given that memory as 20 bytes. 20 bytes of memory stored by is allocated to store the character by me. I will give the description of that link. I will give that link in the description. You can have a look. And the age must be in 18, 17 or something. So it's an integer. I have given the word int, and what I am going to store as integer, the variable is. I have given the semicolon. Next is salary. After cutting all the salary must be in decimal. It's a float value. I am going to store the salary by using the variable salary. That's it. The salary is a float value and semicolon and ID. Employee ID is an integer simply. That's it, as I have stored here. Now I am giving the main part, void main, and I am going to give his details now. I have first allocated some memories, some bytes of memories to each, to his name, age, salary, and ID. Now I am going to store the values in it here. I am struct employee. I am going to call this function, this data, these variables, struct employee. I have given the name as struct employee. I am going to call this struct employee, and I am going to store employee details. That's why employee is repeated here. This is the calling function of the struct employee, and employee details are name tsk, age 18, salary. They like this salary. As you have given the float, you can store integer values also. I will show you with an example. But while giving integer, we cannot store the float values. How the output can be get while you have stored it as float, but we have given the decimal value. I will show you in the programming. And the ID is 134. Now, what I have to print in my output? I have to print as name of the employee, tsk, age of the employee, something, salary of the employee, so on, so like that. So I have given as name of the employee equal to, what's the value stored here? It's a string value. percentage s, and the remaining I have to print in the new line. I have given forward slash n. Where it has to access, it has to go for employee, and then it has to access the string value from the name. So I have given it as employee dot name. Again I am going to explain it. What I have to print, I have to print in such a manner that name of the employee equal to something, is equal to something like that. So I have given name of the employee equal to, his name must is a string, because it's more than one letter. We have to store it as in a string but not in a character. I have given it as percentage s forward slash n. This completed here. Now it has to access it from somewhere, that is employee. From the employee details it has to access name, employee dot name. That's it. Similarly we can have to print the age of the employee equal to percentage d forward slash n. It has to access the age from employee details, employee dot age. Similarly the salary of the employee can be printed as it has given it as float. You have to print as percentage f forward slash n, and the employee dot salary, and id of the employee equal to, have to print the id as it is an integer. It's given by the command percentage d, and there are no further commands. We can no need to give the forward slash n, or you have given also no need or no problem or no error will occur in our program. Let's also check about it in the program or while running the code. And it has to get the id from employee details, employee dot id. The semicolon is common at the end of the program, and the closing file get ch and the end of curly braces. Now let's check this code. Let's copy it here and paste it. I am going to build and check my program. There is no error in my program. You can give forward slash n, or you can no need to give forward slash n. I will also build it by showing it. There is no change here. See, I have given name of the employee equal to, so I got name of the employee equal to. What it has to print here, percentage s, means the string value stored here, tsk. The value, the name of this employee stored it as tsk. The output is tsk. Next, in the next line I have to print age of the employee, age of the employee equal to, that's integer. I have given here the data type is integer, percentage d. Then it's go for employee. The code will go for employee, and it can access it the age from here. That age is 18. Age of employee equal to 18. Next, have to print, I have given the salary of the employee. You can see here salary of the employee equal to. I have commanded, I have ordered it to print it as float value, but the input is integer. How it will take? It have given it in the decimal system. See, as I have told it to print the float value, it has given the output in decimal format, 50,000.000. Or if there is anything else, it can print here. But if I give the salary as integer, and I have ordered percentage d, but I am storing the points, it's not possible. Let's check that syntax also. Next, I have told to print id of the employee, id of the employee equal to, it has access the id from the employee details, that's 134. That's it. That's the procedure how you get the output. You can give it anything here, not name of the employee equal to. You can give it as name of the employee equal to, or name of the employee colon. Now I am going to build it. I am going to run the programs. You can have a look here. I have given colon here, name of the employee colon name of the employee colon tsk. As I have told, the string is accessed from here. Yeah, and the remaining was left unchanged, and in the output also the remaining were left unchanged by equal to, as I have changed here only, as it is user defined. There are some cases which can be defined or which can be changed by us without changing the entire syntax. Then the code will run basing upon our inputs and the desired output. Now let's show me what's going to happen while storing. I'm going to store 50,078 as salary, and the salary is integer. Let me check what's going to happen, and the output must be also integer. I'm going to building it, and I'm going to run it. You can get only integer, but you cannot get the complete details. You can get only 50,000, and no decimal part is coming in your output. But when we store the float value and we have ordered to print as integer, we can get the 50,000 point zeros. It means we can get our complete desired output. That's the matter here. Now let's get into the next part of our classification under user defined data types, that is union. What is a union? Union is one of the user defined data type we have discussed. Means, as the name indicates, it collects data or it from different variables, or it is helps us to store different variables under single memory location. Union is used to store different variables or different memories under a single location. That's why we use the syntax of union. Union is the allocation of one memory to all inputs, or one shared memory. That one memory will be shared to all the inputs of our desired variables. We can first give the inputs, and all these inputs will be stored under single memory. That's what I have given here. Union is the allocation of one shared memory for all input data members. Now let's check the syntax, which can be understood easily. This is the common hash include stdio.h is called as header file. Now I am going to give you the details of a student under union. Means I have to store all those variables like age, marks, name, and this is average, all thing under one memory. Have to allot one memory to one student. Then you have to use the word or the syntax of the union. Union about student, or you can give anything here like union, for example, Raju or something. In what values I have to store here? Float. His age, I am assuming his age as float, means 11 point something, or anything else. Age in float, I have taken, for example, I have taken the age as float, his marks as an integer, and his name is a character. We have already discussed about the name, what you have to do here. I mean, how much memory you have to give. It depends upon your input name. We have discussed in previous session what happens when we give low memory or less number of bytes to a particular thing. What will happen when we have to store much amount of value. We have already overcome this all those problems and about all those examples in the previous session. Simply I am skipping those. I have given the name variable here. I have given 45 bytes of memory, and it's under the data type is character. Now I have going to store his average and the double is also one kind of float which has more than of 2 decimal point. That's it. Now I am giving the main part, and what I have to print, I want to get the output how much memory it has taken. All after storing all these, how much memory it have taken in my workspace, how much memory it had access. So I want to get the output as size of union. This union size, I want to get the size of this union. So size of union is equal to how much bytes. The amount of bytes must be integer, 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte, like that. That's a percentage d. It is a integer. We are going to give the command as percentage d bytes. This bytes, this much bytes, percentage d bytes come. What it has to get the axis from, which axis or which amount of bytes from, it has to give here. Size of, which size, union student, this size, this memory size, union student memory size has to be print here. So it has to access the size of union student. And the closing file get ch and the closed parenthesis. Let's check. Union is used to collect all the data types on a single memory. The single memory, certain amount of memory will be stored to all of the kinds of the data that you are going to store in one roof, under one roof. Now let me build it for any errors. There are no errors in our program, and I'm going to run it. See, I have ordered it to print as in this format as size of union is equal to. So it have given it as size of union equal to percentage d, means how much type bytes of memory it has taken. It has, I have already allocated 45 bytes of memory to store my name only. 45 plus, and the remaining all will take 3 bytes. Totally 48 bytes of memory has allocated to my union student. It has accessed all this information from where? From the union student. It has accessed all this information from the union student. That's what we have going to print here. We can give it a, let's check whether it, I'm going to give a colon here and I'm going to build it. You can get the output same for 8 bytes memory, because there is no change in any of the inputs or any of the new variables or the size of the old variable. Hence we can get the same size 48 bytes of memory is allocated to it, and we can change it based upon your needs, as it is user defined. It can be defined by us based upon our interest and the desire. I am not want to give the off here. I have simply removed it and I'm going to build it. Have size union, or I have given as union size equal to. It's depend of our interest or your wish. It is up in our hands, but the remaining syntax has to be followed by us correctly. Otherwise, your code will give error. It's also known as the syntax error. The remaining syntax like header files, first storing the variables in some union, giving the main part and the columns must be correct, but the desired output is up to you, depend on your needs. Now let's get into the third classification or third type in user defined data types is enum. What is enum? How enum is used? Enumeration, one of the user defined data type, we have already discussed it. It is usually assigned names, means we have stored a certain number of values, n number of values, and for I have called something and I want to ask its number, how much number value it is. For example, I have stored the names of months. I have called a month, what is its number? To get it easily, we are going to use the format of enum. Enum is nothing but we have to assign names or constants or anything to a set of data. Means we have a large amount of data, we cannot able to count this. To get its number in the particular data, we can use the syntax of enum to get it in an easy way. Now we have its common header file. Now I am going to use it as enum, I'm going to format of enum, so I'm going to mention it here enum. What are the values that I'm going to store? Days, enum days, month, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all those, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, why this one? I'm going to tell you while in the program, without one what will happen, with one what's going to happen. Now I'm giving the main part. Open parenthesis enum. I'm going to call it enum days, and I have to know the number of a particular day, that I'm going to store the particular day in certain variable k. Have stored the value k, given the variable k. What I have stored in the variable k? Saturday. I have stored it here. Now I want to print the integer, the number occupied by the Saturday in my set of input values. That's percentage d. Come, what I have to print? The that's n in the variable k. So I have given k here and the get ch. This is the syntax. Again I'm going to explain. We have to give the enum here. That's the, I'm going to store the input as days. You can do it for months, or simply you can give names and number of names and give you the variable based on your interest, like enum names or enum family or your wish enum friends or anything name you can give here. It's no problem with that. And given main part and enum days means I'm going to call this, or you can call whatever you have given, enum friends or enum family, anything. And what I have to get the value assigned with Saturday. I have stored the Saturday in a variable, in a particular variable, and I'm getting access it from there. To, and whatever the output is, the number, because that's an integer. The value, the place occupied by the Saturday must be an integer. It is percentage d, and the variable, it is stored in a variable k. That's it. Now let's check this code. I'm going to build this. There is no error, and I am going to run my program. The output is 6. Yes or not? I have given the Monday as first day. Here I am 1 equal to 1 means we have to count. It has to count the starting, the first one as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it correct? Yes. Saturday is 6. Yes, the value is the Saturday is the 6th value in my given input set of values. I am not giving Monday is which value, means I am not assigning it as first value. Then see how the system will take it. It's going to take the Saturday as 5th value. Why? It's counting upon from 0. If 0th value, it is storing it, or it is counting as 0th first value, 0th value, 0th first value, second value, third value, fourth value, and the 5th value. That means in the 5th position is Saturday. Because I have not specified that Monday is the first position, it can take on its own as it is the 0th value. I am going to give as Monday as the third value, and I am going to build my program. It's 8. As Monday is the third value in my program, Tuesday will be the 4th value, Wednesday is 5th value, Thursday is 6th, Friday will be 7, and our desired Saturday will be the 8th value in our program. Basing upon the first value, the number assigned with the first value, the number automatically will assign to the remaining values, and we can access them. Now let's check whether is it necessary to store the Saturday in a certain variable and need to access it. Whether is it need or not, let's check with an example. I am not storing the value Saturday in some k or anything. Directly I am giving in the enum days. You have to get access Saturday. I have given access Saturday. Similarly, I am giving it here. what what's position I have to print. Have to print the position of Saturday. So I have given here and I am going to build it and running the program. It's not taking. Now let's check once. Going to build the program and running the program. Build is completed. It's not taking the output. Similarly, you can try with the different syntaxes and in the different ways based on your interest and your ideology. You can try different ways. In that process only, we can develop our skills, and we can try in as many as ways by removing something, or we can store the we can get the value of Tuesday, Wednesday, and some other applications. We can do all the same syntax, and we can get all these. We can get all these, and we can remember all these in by practice. Similarly, we can try for anything. We can try for months. We can try for weeks, or we can try for your names and all these based upon your interest, and you can practice. Based on the practice, your skills will develop, and we can also able to create, or you can use it in upcoming sessions, like you can use the programs, and you can use it for your future needs, like developing a certain program or anything, or the program oriented like apps and anything will be main based upon your practice of coding skills. That's it. What are keywords in C language? As I have told you, there are some predefined words. In the first session only I have introduced about this. There are some predefined words like int, float, char, and many words, printf, scanf, and all these. We cannot change this. These are already defined while writing the C language program in 1978. There is no option for us. We have to blindly follow this. That's called as keywords. Keywords are predefined, reserved words in programming that give special meaning to the compiler. By using the certain words, we can get the certain meaning. Now already the compiler have an order that when this word was given, it has to print like this. Means like not necessary for the we have seen here for enum, while we have to say the axis from k and we have given enum, automatically the number has to be assigned to the next one. The same way for keywords also, special meaning to each word. There is no necessary to remember all these keywords. There are 32 keywords in the C language, but all the keywords must be in small letters. While writing the program also, you must write all these in the small letters. And another thing, we cannot use keywords as identifiers and variables. What's an identifier is? It's very short. We are a very short distance from the concept of identifier. Let's go to it. We cannot use keywords as variables. For example, int x is equal to 18. We cannot say as int auto equal to 18 or int something equal to 18. Int float equal to 18 should not be given, because the float is also one type of predefined word. In the same way, the predefined words are auto, double, instruct, and all these. All these must be in small letters. I have told that union enum will also comes under the predefined words, because basing on the input they have different functions. Make sure that while we are writing in this, we must give in the small letters. Remember it. All these are the data types: double, instruct, and the break. What's break? Break will also come in this session in the later slides, and what is switch will come in the upcoming session, and all these, most of these are not necessary. Now we have got the concept of identifiers. What is identifier in C language? Identifier is the names that we use to identify a variable. Till now, we have discussed that what a variable is. A variable is used to store the memory, to store the variables of the given input. Variable is used to store the data, not the variable. For example, I am taking as something is equal to 50. To store 50, we need something that's given as variable. What is the difference between variable and identifier? I seen here that identifier are the names given to variables. Variable is also name given to store the value. What is the difference between them? Let's see. When we have given the concept of variable, variable is nothing but the combination of data type and identifier. Means we have till now we are in our common general discussion, we will say that the x is variable or something, y is variable, but x and y are not variables. X is identifier. To identify certain data stored, we are using x. X is identifier or y is identifier. Now what is a variable? We are giving the data type stored in x, int x is equal to 50. Means int x is total, entirely is called as variable, but in general discussion we say that the variables are x and y something. But while coming to the concept identifier, we can have a deep clarity that x or y or g something assigned to remember or to store the value of the given input is the identifier, but not the variable. Variable is nothing but the combination of the data type and the identifier. Identifiers are used defined words in C language because we are giving it identifiers x1 or anything. We cannot, as I have told, the rules for these identifiers nothing but the rules of the variables given in the previous session, the part 1. You can go there and have a look at this, like it's our own. We can define this like xyz or a something, or x1 b1 c1, so like, or x1 2 3 or some abc4, like that. It's depends upon your input or your mind at that situation and the type of data. We have to give the data type, both of these combined to give a variable. Now the syntax, it's a common syntax. This is the header file, this is the main part, this is common. Openers have stored. Now I have assigned the variable int a and the identifier is a. To store the value 45, have given the identifier is a and that the data type is int. Int a is totally the variable. This int is also applied for t. Int t is totally the variable, but t is the identifier. To store the 89 value, we are keeping something to identify it easily. That's what identifier is. To identify the certain data stored in it, we are giving some representation. That's what an identifier is. Identifiers are case sensitive. Why case sensitive? Let's see it in the example. I am going to copy this and paste this, and there I will show you why these identifiers are case sensitive. What will happen when we change the case of these identifiers. Now I am going to build my program and running this. I have got the output is 89 because I have told it to print the value stored in the identifier t. Stored in the identifier t. I have changed the terminology from here because we have got the concept of identifiers. The value stored in the identifier t is 89. Okay. Now let me give the small t here, and I am going to build the program. You will have an error here because there is nothing, or we have not described what t is. Till now We have not given the anything identifier as t, small t in this program. So there will be an error because identifiers are case sensitive. In the capital T we have stored 89, but in the small t we have not stored anything. So there will be an error in our program, and I'm going to give a small a and I'm going to build it. Again the code is working on, and we got the output as 45. That's it. Means the identifiers are case sensitive. Why identifier case sensitive? For example, there are different values, and we can easily access ASD. Based on our typing, you can easily access ASD, and there are different value, many number of, for example, 6 number of values, and you have free access to ASD while typing based upon your typing speed, and your it always depend to you. Next, now you have to store, and you have to get all these 6 values are important. You have to get all these. How? We have to store the small, in small letters we can store 3, and in the caps letters we can store 3. For example, in this case I am given capital A, then your output will be different. Hence identifiers are case sensitive. we, in what identifiers we have stored the value, the output while taking the output also we can get the output from the stored identifier only, otherwise there will be an error in our program. Now let's see the rules of identifiers. Identifiers also some have rules. Identifiers also have some rules, like the rules of the variables. Both are always common because variable is nothing but the set of data type and the identifiers. So identifiers are either alphabet, underscore, or digit. But where the digit have to be used, like A1, not 1A, A1, A2, A underscore 1, A underscore 2, like that. First letter must be alphabet or underscore, but not a digit. That's what I have told earlier or in the previous session. Like under the concept of variables, we cannot use keywords as identifiers, as I have told in the keywords, because when we have giving the keyword as identifier, it cannot access, or it cannot access the keyword, because nothing is stored in the keywords. Keywords are used to function the program. Then how can it store the value? It can't. Identifiers is case sensitive, as we discussed. Int number equal to 5. Let's see this example. Int number equal to 5. Here int means integer. Integer is represented by int. It's a keyword or the data type. Number is identifier. Identifier is number. Int number is variable. 5 is the value stored. Simply this is a common. Now let's get into the C loops. Now let's get into loops in C program. What are loops? Why loops are used? What is the loops necessary? Let's discuss all these in detail. First, loops. Loops. Why we have discovered what the concept of loops has occurred? We have to run same program repeatedly. We have to run the same statement repeatedly for a number of times. We no need to copy, as I told earlier in the functions. We have to give an first store that value to be stored, to be written in the output screen one time, and you have to give that output for a number of times, and you can access it, or we can give copy and paste it as many as times as you required. In the previous concept, in the starting of this session, we have seen the syntax of the function and the kind, what, how it has to be written, without taking such much of the tension or such much of time waste. We can simply use loops. Loops in C programming. Loops also called as iterative statements or repetitive statements. Loop statement contains a instruction that continually repeat until a certain condition is reached. Again we will let's see when the condition is reached, what will happen when the condition has occurred, what happens when the condition is false in the syntaxes of the loops. When we want to execute a program repeatedly instead of printing several times, we use loops. This is also told by me. Have told about it. Without copying and pasting the loop always a number of times, we can simply have access to loops. By using loops, we can complete our works in a fraction of a second. Now the loops are divided into entry control and the exit control. As the name indicates, these loops can be controlled at the entry of the loop, and these loops will be controlled at the exit of the loop. First, we have to discuss about why loops are to be controlled. As I told in this slide, loops are repetitive. They repeat n number of times. When we have to stop, we have to stop the loop after n number of times. After desired number of times, or after desired x number of times, you have to stop the loop. Means we have to control the loop. That's why the controlling of the loops is required. Means we have to print something as my class for 100 number of times. Later we should not print one time. Means we have to control the loop at that 100th position. So the loops have to be controlled, must and should. And that controlling given must be given or need not to be given at the entry. We can give the control at the exit, but what will happen when we give the control at the exit, or what happen when we give the control at the entry? Let's see all those in detail. Before going to those sections, we have to learn about entry control loop is further divided into two kinds, that is for loop and while loop. What a for loop is and what a while loop is to be learned in this session. And exit control loop is under the single kind, that is do while loop, or you can simply tell that the do while loop is an example of exit control loop. And what is the difference between for and while loops is to be discussed, going to be discussed in this session. Let's get into our entry control loops. What are entry control loops? The loops in which the control is given at the entry. Simply, you no need to remember that is definition. You can write it on our own wherever is necessary. An entry control loop checks the condition before entering the loop body. Before repeating or before repetition the loop, first it will check how many times we have to, or whether the condition comes in a possible looping or not, whether it's going to come or whether our loop will stop or not. All these will be checked in the entry, then only it gets into the loop and execute the loop. Loop body is not executed even once if the condition is false. If the input is false, means the condition does not happen. For example, you have given 5 is greater than 100. For example, let's see how to give those, and how we have to control, how we have to give the values. For example, 5 is less than 100. Is it possible? Yes, but I have given 5 is greater than 100. No, it's not possible. It will check the condition at the starting. 5 is greater than 100 was given by me. Means it's not correct. It will immediately comes out, terminate from the loop. The loop will not be executed one time also. That's what I have given here. If the condition is false, loop will not be executed even once. First it will enter the loop. It will test the condition. This is the diagrammatic representation of the loop. First it will enter the loop. It will check the condition. Whether the condition is true, it will execute loop. It will run, and again it will enter the loop, because I have ordered it to repeat the loop 100 times. Again it will go test the condition true, again and again. When it got the not one time, the condition will false or the condition will fail, and it will come out of the loop. That's it. As I have given the control here at the entry, it will check the condition while entering the loop. Then the condition satisfies, it executes the loop again and again till the condition becomes false. After becoming or after failing the condition, it will simply terminate from the loop. This is the schematic diagrammatic representation of the loop for entry control loops. Make sure that this is the diagrammatic representation of entry control loops, exit control loops. Let's define, or let's see the define of these exit control loops after discussing about the subkinds of the entry control loops. Okay, let's see about exit control in the later. For loop. For loop is the first kind of entry control loop. The for loop in C is control structure. It allows code to run repeatedly based on the conditions. Any loop will any loop or code will run based on the condition. For loop means, let's directly go to the syntax, and this definition is no use of that much. For loop particularly useful and the number of iterations known before performing. This is the main where we have to use for loop. If you know, I have already known to repeat the statement 100 times or to repeat the statement 1000 times. As I knew the number of iterations before, I have to go for loop. This is the main part to keep in mind. That's it. Definition is not useful when we know the number of iterations before in advance. We have to go for loop. Otherwise, you should not go for loop. That's the main point. You have to keep it in your mind for using the loops. Means when we want that number of times we want to execute some statement or instructions, we go for loop. The syntax of the for loop is as follows. This is the introductory part or the header file. This is the main part. This is the closing and open and closing braces. I am going to store the variables, the inputs in the identifier G under the data type int G, under the variable int G. For to use for loop, you have to use the word for in the syntax, like we have used union, enum. How we have used, simply have to call, or you have to use the for loop. What we are going to store? 0. We are going to store 0 in the identifier G equal to 0. Semicolon here, you should not give commas, you have to give the semicolon here, must ensure in the for loop condition. G equal to 0, and we have to repeat the loop G less than 0. It is going to print, or it has to going to print 9 number of times, because I am telling that G must be increased G plus plus or G plus 1. You can simply give it as G plus plus. I have knew my code must run this number of times, and my code must run X number of times. Basing up on your condition, you have to give the input, or you have to give the program here, because your code will run that number of time depending on this condition. Because I am telling that G value must increase by the value 1. That's what G plus plus indicates. Means 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Till then, or till where I have to increase my digits, or I have to go my loop till I have to get less than 10. Integer less than 10 is 9. So till I attain the value 9, my loop should run. Means I have to get 9 in my output, 9 number of values in my output. So I have to go for loop. I don't know how many times I want to get. How we can go for loop? Because for loop gives the certain number of values basing upon your condition. Without knowing the condition, we cannot continue the loop. Hence, first of all, before going for loop, we must know the number of times the loop must iterate to first. Printf %d, because I am going to store integers, I have given %d, and all my desired outputs should come in then new lines, means one value in one line and the next in the respective lines. So have to go for new lines after printing one value. That's its mean. And what I have to print? The values that are in this identifier G, the semicolon and the closing file and the closing braces. Let's check this code. I I'm going to build it, and I'm going to run my program. Once wait, there is an issue here. Once see, for g equal to 0 onwards, it is going to start. It has started the loop 0 from 0, because the input values must start from 0 and it must increase upon 1. G must be less than 10 and the values increase. This is what this here it represents that I want to execute my loop 10 number of times, or I want to get the digits from 0 to 9. So to get the numbers from 0 to 9, oh, I have to think like this. I have to give the input as the numbers less than 10 starting from 0. You have to run, or you have to think all these. You have to think like this. This number of times I have to run my program. All these like that. It all depends upon your thinking strategy before the going to the loop. That's what I have given that the g equal to 0. My program has to start from 0, because I have stored the first value as 0 and my value is up to less than 10 and g less plus. This is how my output. Or I want to print something high for 10 number of times. Then you have to think, if I start from 0, I have to end it with 9, then only I can get 10 number of times. Then I can print high for 10 number of times. Or if I start it with 1, then I have to think for less than 11, then only I can get 1 to 10 number of times. Or if I start it from 2, I have also end it with 12, less than 12, then only I can get the 10 number of times, that is 2 to 11. All these calculations have to be run by you. Write the code and process it. Simply you can get this 10 number of times. That's what. Now I am going to clear this. You can try the for loop with different values, and you can, in the for loop you can print the values like the numbers for 0 to 9, or from starting value to ending value based upon your required condition. For example, if I want to print the numbers between 100 to 200, I don't want to print 200, so I am printing 100 to less than 200. Or I want to print 101 to 200. Now I am going to give less than 200, and I am going to build the program, and I have got my desired output. The page limit is 154, and so we have to decrease the limit, and we can, there is a limit in the output, because we have going int. To store the int, we are giving some specific type amount of memory, 2 bytes. To store the values, 2 bytes of memory. In 2 bytes of memory, how many values are going to occupy, that's will be in our output, because int is stored for only 2 bytes. So we cannot able to give all the inputs. To give all the inputs, we have to give the input functions like long int. When we give the predefined word long int, we can store more values because we can get more amount of memory. And next, I want to print 101 to symbol 150, less than 151, and I can print it. Or you have to print, for example, a certain word like buy for 50 number of times. We can give it from 1 to 50 or anything, but when we have to print the desired numbers, we have to give it from a particular number to particular number, and the size is more, we have to give it, go for long int. And But when you have to print a word, a string, and number of times, you can give it for 101 to 151, or 151 to less than 151 to less than 200, that's 199, or 150 to 199, 151 to 200, like that, your wish. But to get the integers, you have to give the function in between the two integers. That's it. That's the for loop. Now let's check about the next kind of loop is while loop. Let's go for while loop. While loop. What is a while loop? While loop is also comes under entry control loop in C program. This loop can be used to iterate a part of code while the given condition remains true. Means we don't know how many times this code will run, but I am going to start it now, and when that condition, for example, I am going to start it at 0 until my condition remains less than 100. I have to calculate, or I have to print the value. I have to print high for that many number of times. I don't know how many number of times I have to get the output, but if I start it now, until the condition remains true, like the condition remains less than 100, till then I have to process my loop. For example, if I start in any mid value, I have to start it from 26. I don't know how many times it's going back, but I have to stop my loop after when the number is less than 90. You don't know the number, then you can go for while loop. This loop can be used to iterate a part of code while the given condition remains true. Until this condition remains true, the code will run that many number of times. Until the condition remains false, it will terminate from the loop. This is an example. What will happen if we have not given the correct condition for while loop? Hash include stdio.h. This is the header file and this is the main part. I have given in the identifier int, in the identifier number, the data type in this variable. Until I am going to call it a variable number, I have given the value 1. While number less than 5 means while number, here number indicates 1. While 1 less than 5, 1 less than 5 is possible. Yes, it's possible. There is no condition how the number is going to increase. I have not given the condition. When this condition is executed for infinite, this condition is true forever. Yes or no? Now 1 less than 5 is true forever. We cannot get out of the loop. What I have to print? I have to print %d /n. This is what I have to print as integers. What integers? From where I have to get? I have to get the value stored in from the variable number. And the closing file get ch and the closing braces. Now let me run this code. Now I am building it for errors and I am running it. There is no output, or we can build it again. As I told in the previous video also, C program is so sensitive. When we continually or repeat the multiple programs, the system will take a long time to process our desired output. Nothing is coming. Or actually this loop has to go on infinite number of times. Here n number is less than 5. You have to get %d. What is the output? There are number of times. This is not in our program. It have taken it based upon its condition, or based upon its input, or the program that have written, all set by the program writer. This has taken on its own. It has taken number of times. That does not up to us. It have taken because we have not given the condition how many times that the number has to be repeated. And I am running it again. Now it has not taken anything. it will depend upon, as there is no particular condition, it can execute the program as it has wanted. But now let me execute the actual program. Before going to, let me run and again show you once. Now also it has not taken anything, it will be simply based upon its own. Now I am going to remove all these to build it. Now let's get into the actual syntax of the while loop. This is the header file, this is the main part. Now I am going to store 1 in the particular identifier, or calling it as the int number as a variable. In the variable 1, in the variable number I am going to store as 1 while number less than 5. What I have to print? I have to print high. Till the condition becomes true, I have to print high. But what is the condition? Number equal to number plus 1 means the number have to increase by 1 until when the condition satisfies true, till then I have to print high. This is the closing file. Now let me copy it and let's verify the code. Now I am going to build it, running the program. You can see it here. Number less than 5, 1 is less than 5, 2 is less than 5, 3 is less than 5, 4 is less than 5. So it will increase from 1 to 4. Hence the output high will be printed for 4 times. You can have a look here. The output high have printed 4 times basing upon the given input. Like that, you can print it as while the number is less than 20. You don't know how many times. For our, let's think, we don't know how many times it's going to print. For example, I have started in the middle like 4. We don't know how many times it's going to print. Now we have given the program. I am telling that okay, while this code is correct, print high, otherwise leave from the loop. I'm going to run it. 4, 5, and it's going on till 19. It is going to print high. It have printed high, but when it have reached 20, it terminated from the loop and our program has occurred here. This is what the actual, the original syntax, the true syntax of the while loop. Before I have showed you what will happen when we are not giving the particular condition, how we have to increase the loop. Or I am going to give number as number plus 2, means number have to increase by 2 digits, 4, 6, like that. Let's check the output. The output has decreased. We don't know how many times it has to occur, but till the condition remains true, I want to get the output high. That's it. We have got the desired output high until when the condition is acquired true. Okay, that's the example of while loop and for loop. For loop is used when we know the particular number of times our data has to be repeat and the loop has to be stopped after a particular number of times. But while loop, no, we don't know. In the second condition, starting from 4 and the number have to increase it by a factor like 3. How many times it has to, we don't know. We can simply tell the number has to be increased by 3 and you have to start it from 4 until how the condition is true. Till then you have to print high and you have to get out of the loop and you have to give me a desired output. That's it. Now let's go for 2 while loop. Before going to deal with, we have to discuss about what is an exit control loop is. Till now we have completed entry control loop. Yes or no? We have given the loop condition at the entry. Let's check. For the for loop, we have given the condition at the entry before printing only, or before closing the program only. We have given the loop. What I have given? g less than 10 and g must be less than 10. Till then you have to run the program, and after that you have to get out of the program. My condition is g less than 10. And in the while loop also have given number less than 5 before entering the loop only. The test condition has to pass, later it has to print. The main condition is that number must be less than 5, then only it has to print high. Means have given the condition at the entry of the loop. That's what the entry control loop. Now let's go for exit control loop. In an exit control loop, then as the name indicates, the condition is given at the exit, at the last of the loop. The condition is checked after executing the loop statements. Means the loop statements are given at the top and the condition is given at the bottom. What will happen? The flowchart will become inverse. Means it will complete one cycle of loop statements. It will execute the loop one time, then it will check whether the loop is true or false. If the loop is true, it will again continue, it will process the loop one time, then it will check the condition, the second condition, or it will terminate. This is what will happen. It means that the loop statement will execute at least one time, even though we have given the wrong condition. Before terminating from the loop, it have already executed one time. It's for in exit control loop we can get at least one output. At least one time the loop has executed. That's what we are going to see in the exit control loop, because the condition is given in the last. Before going to the condition, it have already executed the looping statement and the output will be given, and then after false or true it will depend upon the program. Means the looping statement has executed one time and it will be given in the output. Let's see do while loop syntax of do while. Do while loop is nothing but the example of exit control loop we have seen in the before flowchart. This hash include stdio.h is the header file, void main is the main part, int10 is the variable. There is the data type, this is the identifier, and the value is 8. And this is do. This is actually in the syntax do while loop. What we have to do is given in this command do. What it has to do? It has to printf. What it has to print? The integers in the new line. I have given as n because I am given the identifier as n, or for your convenience I am going to change it as h. Make sure that you should not change it this n as h, because this n represents that we have to go for new line and identifier is h. In the identifier h I have stored the integer as 8 and I have to print %d. Means the integers, I have to print the integers in my output screen, that is given by %d, and from where it has to access? It has to access from h, and the h increases from h equal h plus 1, that is also given, but I am not given the condition till when it has to continue the loop like that. I have closed the braces, means I have to do this. The program has to do this. It has to print integers from h equal h plus 1. It's going to print the first value, then it's going to check while. After completion of these braces, it will come out of these braces and it will check the condition while h is less than or equal to 5. As I have changed the identifier, while h is less than or equal to 5, the loop has to come, or the loop has to run. Till after that the loop has to execute it. It has to terminate from the loop. Now let's check whether this code in the software of the C program Okay, I have missed some curly brace here because it has not copied. I have given it in the PPT, but it's not copied here. It's returning from the loop without executing the loop. Now, for example, if I give, okay, it's in the old one, it's in the starting, it has not deleted. This is not the fresh one. You can see this is the example that I have given in the while loop. Wait, I'm going to copy this again and printing it. And I'm going to paste it here. This is our new loop. This is our do while loop. Now I'm going to run this. The first input is 8. As I have ordered, it have printed the integer percentage d8 in my outputs, or it have processed the loop one time. Then it has gone for checking the condition. H less than or equal to 5 means the condition is false. Then it has executed. Here my program has executed one time. At least one output I have got here. But in the while loop, we don't get any output if the condition is false. Although the condition is false, I get one output because the condition is given at the exit, but the loop is executed here and then it has gone to check the condition. That's why in be remember that in do while loop always the loop will be executed at least one time. Now I am giving the correct condition here, less than or equal to 10. Now I am going to build it and running it. It have taken the inputs 8. It have checked the condition 8 is less than 10. Okay, again it's going to execute the loop. It have already processed 9. Then it have checked the condition 9 is less than 10 or not. Yes, it has less than or equal to 10, less than 10. Again it have processed 10 and it have checked that 10 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, it have less than or equal to 10 and it have executed from the loop. It means the loop is executing 3 times. But when we give the false condition or less than or equal to 1, and I am going to build it, it is executed the loop at least once. It has executed and it have run the program 8 in the output, and then it has gone to check the condition, and the condition remains, or the conditions gave the output as false, and it has terminated from the loop. That's it here. This is the syntax of the do while loop. Now in the next slide we are going to see about break in looping statements. As I told in the keywords, I will also discuss about break. The break concept have occurred. Let's discuss what's the break in C programming. Means I have written some length of code, but I have to stop it in somewhere. Then we have to use the concept of break. Means I have to in the for loop or something, I have given that I have to take the input from 0 and take the output from 100 to 100, less than 100. I have give the condition is g plus plus. Okay, but I don't want to execute till there. I have to stop it at some 59 or something. What we have to do? We have to use the break concept, or simply there is a some have think that what's the necessary, we can have the in the program only we can give it as let's think the variable as g. G equal to 0, g is less than 60, g plus plus, and we can get till 59. It's also correct, but there is a special concept designed for us. Always you should not use like that. We can use like this also, by using the concept of break. Break is used when that condition is reached. We are telling that when that condition is reached, break the loop. Okay, it will process till there and it will execute. That's it. That's what the breaking loop indicates. Now let's see the syntax of the break loop. Hash include stdio.h is common header file. This is the main part. This is the identifier p, and int is, this is the data type. This is totally is variable. For loop, I am going to apply the break in the for loop. I am going in the for loop. We have discussed for p equal to 4. I have to start it at 4. For p less than 10, and p is given as p plus plus, means p has to increase it by 1. If p equal to 7, means when p achieved or p came to the value 7, the loop has to be breaked, means it should not execute further. The loop has to break at p equal to 7. I have given the condition here before printing, means it is going to verify all the conditions. Okay, for taking 4, okay, we have to continue. For 5, for 6, for 7, we have to break the loop. After achieving the 7, we have to break the loop, and it's going to print. What is going to print? Percentage d, integers 4, 5, 6, like that. What integers? The integers that are stored in p, and what the integers that are going to be increased by 1 from p, because the p plus plus is the condition for storing new variables, new values in the variable p. And this is the closing file get ch. Now let's show you this syntax by running. We have got the output as 4, 5, 6. When it have achieved 7, the loop must be break, means it has to terminate from the loop. That's what the break means. Break means it has to cut the loop there, but it should not execute further. So after reaching the 7, it will terminate from the loop. Till the 6, it will process and it will print it out and it will give the code in the output, but after 7, it has to execute. It should not print 7, because at 7 it has to cut the loop. That's what the cutting, or you can give it as print high. Build the program and running it. It will give the high 3 times but not the 4 times, because as I told earlier, after reaching 7, it has to eliminate, it has to terminate from the loop. That's it. This is how the break on the looping statements will be applied. You can apply for break for large formats, like for less than 100 we can apply a break at 50 or something, and so on. It will depend upon our needs, where till which value we have to get the output. We have to break the loop at the next value. If we have to get the output till n values, we have to break the loop at n plus 1th value. Till nth value also we have to get the output. So you should not cut the loop at nth value. You have to cut it at n plus 1th value. Okay. Now let's go to the continue in looping statements. What is continue in looping statement? Means I have given the code. I want something from 0 to 100. I have given the for loop, but something told me that, hey, you should not print 50. Is it possible? I have used for loop, and I have going to print all the values from 0 to less than 101, that is 0 to 100. But how I have to eliminate 50? How I have to eliminate my desired number from that? To eliminate for a particular thing, we have to use continue in looping statements. The continue is used to bring the program control to the beginning of the loop, means after executing sum as I told control, it will skip there and it will continue from the next one. Let's see with an example, then you can understand this statement easily. Be, Beyond seeing the definition, the program will be easy. It is mainly used for the condition, so that we can skip some code for a particular condition, and it means that for we have some conditions from our program record or someone, that you should not print the particular value, but you have to print all the values. Then we have to use continue. The syntax of the continue is like this: as include stdio.h void main. This is the header file, and the main part I'm going to store in the identifier f, and this is the variable. I'm going to use for loop, like has started from 4 till f less than 15. I have to execute the program. F has to be increased by 1, f plus plus. If f equal to 9, means at 9 I don't want to print 9, then at 9 it has to skip and it has to execute the loop again. Means when I have given the command here, like if f equal to 9, means after getting the value 9, it has to skip and again it has to execute the program. That what indicates here. You can after that, if f equal to 9, you can continue again. You can give it as if f equal to 13, continue, and then you can give the statement as printf. Means whatever you have to eliminate, you can give all those in your code. I will show you. If f equal to 9, it has to continue, means it has to skip the code there and it has to continue the remaining code. Let's check this syntax. I'm going to build it in run. Oh no, it's my whole program. Let me build it again. This is the main problem with the C program, but with the Python, all these are well advanced languages. We can do the train repeatedly. We can do it always when number of times we want. There will be no lagging issues with the software. Now it has come. It has given the output now. Till now I have built it 4 times and the desired output came after 4th time. See, I have started with 4. F plus plus, after it have it he would 5, 6, 7, all these within the condition that f is less than 15. It have achieved 8. After reaching the value 9, I have told it to skip and continue with the 10. Continue indicates that after reaching 9, it have to skip the program, it has to execute with 10. So there is no 9 in our output. You can verify it here. 9 is not available in our output. After it, we have got the value 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We won't get the 15 because I have given the condition is f must be less than 15, but not f less than or equal to. Okay. This is our continuing breaking statement, or we can print anything like by, and we can build it in, and I am going to run it. Again it's taking issues, errors. Now it has occurred. Like that you can do it any number of with anything. Means you can use the strings to be printed that number of times, or you can give the strings here, you can give the decimal values. I mean, while storing here only you can give the decimal values, or simply you can give the integers which has to be print there, and you can get it. This is mainly useful for those we have to get hundreds of numbers in the output screen, but they does not want to get a certain 2 3 numbers in the output. It is very for example, if they have to print in normal case like header file, main part, curly braces, printf 10 closing braces, printf 11 forward slash and printf 12. It's a very time lagging process, but while taking this we can print all these values from 10 to 100 or anything, but you should not print some values. Those we can be neglected by giving the continue program. This is what up to the today's session. In the today's session, what we have discussed is we have discussed what are the data types, what are the subclasses, how they are classified, and what is the loops in the C program, what are the syntax of the loops, and how the loops are classified into further, and what are the identifiers, what is the difference between the variable and identifier is where we have to use the term variable and where we have to use the term identifier. That's it for today. In the next upcoming session we are going to discuss about the switch statement and the control statements and the conditional statements. Until then, thank you all of you for giving me for spending this much of time with my videos. Subscribe my channel for more videos and click the bell icon for our latest updates.